All right, welcome back. We continue live right here at Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani and Gene Collier with you tonight at 412-575-2600. More tweets come in. Pirate Fan 66 says, I don't care where Jesse James plays for, he will always be a Steeler. And then Jared Starks on Twitter says, guys, if the Steelers don't sign a free agent wide receiver, do you think they'll use their first-round pick to select one? Gene?
I do not.
Me neither.
I think they'll try and package a couple of picks to try and move up to get at least Devin Bush. I don't think they can go high enough to get Devin White. But I don't think you'll see a wide receiver pick probably until the third pick, whatever round that happens to be in.
Tomorrow night, the Penguins take on the Washington Capitals in what should be a very interesting game. The Capitals right now 6 points ahead of them. The Islanders moved up 2, and as a result, Columbus lost tonight to New York 2-0. So Columbus, despite all these trades and all the all-in mentality, they're maybe all out here pretty soon the way they're going. But the Penguins come in here now, knocking on the door, moving up potentially. If they have a shot at winning this division, which they still do, they have to win tomorrow night. They'd cut it to 4. So, Gene, talk about, to me, I called it a gem, this trade from Derek Brassard. He made a bad situation into a better one. The Derek Brassard original trade did not work, so he flipped him to Florida and got McCann, 22 years old, and Bukestad, 26, and they're both outperforming Brassard.
Yeah, those guys have been tremendous. I don't know if they can sustain it, but McCann in particular looks like he could be a really solid player. No matter where they put him, he contributes, and he looks, really fast and really adept at what he's doing. That was a great trade.
Looks like Zach Aston-Reese, by the way, will not be able to play tomorrow. Don't know the extent of an injury, but they had a recall today on an emergency basis for a floor down in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Let's go to line 1, Rick in Squirrel Hill. Hey, Rick.
Hi, Bob and Gene.
Hi,
Rick.
Hey, I'm sure this isn't going to work, but I was just wondering, the next time they try to come up with an agreement, the Players Association and the owners, if there's any way a player demands a trade and he has a 5-year contract and he got a signing bonus and there's 2 years left and he wants to be traded, he has to pay back the 2 years because it killed the Steelers on the salary cap.
Right, it did.
And the other thing I wanted to know, is there any way they could sue Antonio Brown because he sabotaged them? If he would have kept his mouth shut, they probably would have gotten better draft picks or a better trade because of him.
Yeah, you're right about all that, but there's not going to be a suit, and I'd be surprised if they just want to be rid of the guy. But I get what you're taking, and I think that's a good point, Rick. Gene, what happens when there is a work stoppage potentially coming up? I mean, there are a lot of things the two sides don't agree with. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about guaranteed money. A lot of guys I saw today on social media were talking about, well, this wouldn't happen if all this money was guaranteed. Well, it's not guaranteed, and quite frankly, I think it was a mistake for the league to start entering into guaranteeing all contracts. I don't think it's good for baseball. I don't think it's good for any sport, do you?
No, I think it's been disastrous for baseball, and that was the thing that always made the NFL superior to baseball, is that teams did not get into these, bottomless pits of dead money, but now they're falling right into that trap. It doesn't really make much sense. As for the CBA, when that comes due, the union already feels like it's put upon by management. They're not going to make any concessions along the lines that you suggest, although I agree that's a good idea. But I don't see anything like that happening. As for a suit, that's just really not the Steelers' style in these kind of matters. They could. I think they could. I think they could drag this out as long as they wanted to. They could still pull back on the trade and say, okay, you're still our guy, but we're not playing you. As Dallas Green used to say with the Phillies, I got to pay them, but I don't have to play them.
I hear a lot of ex-players talk about the fact where, well, we as players don't have any, the team wants to cut you, they cut you. That's true, but you agreed to that. That was part of that has not changed. And if it's in the collective bargaining, then you have to deal with it. But to Rick's point, Gene, also, I think he's right. When you get guaranteed upfront money, which Antonio Brown got, it really hurts the Steelers now in, salary cap dead money that they have to deal with. Maybe he should pay some of it back. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen. But
well, maybe, maybe along that particular instances or similar instances. But overall, the owners have a lot more financial advantages than the players do.
They do. But next time they bargain, they should try to get some of it. If you can't, then don't complain about the system, because your team, your union, signed on that system. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I don't think players will walk away from money. But then again, the league may not either, because they're making so much of it right now. Why stop the gravy train? Let's go to John in Pitcairn. Hey, John.
Yes, sir. It's a sad day in Pittsburgh. I hate to say this, but it's true. You know, Brown's gone, Bell's gone. You know, Jesse James is gone, a local boy. You know, it's just sad. You know, as far as Adrian Brown, you know, I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I think it was so wrong the way he just respects Steeler Nation and the Ronies.
Well, I agree with that, but that's, you know, that's how he got out of Dodge. He wanted to get out of it. He did. What I don't understand is his motivation, and I don't understand nationally why, Gene, so many people are coming to his defense saying he was completely underpaid as a Pittsburgh Steeler, because that is not the truth.
It's not the narrative. He worked for a couple years under a contract that was under market, but the Steelers always renewed him before they had to. Ultimately, he was overpaid.
Yeah, and yet nationally it's looked at as, man, this guy's finally going to get the money he deserves. Well, excuse me, you know, he made $42 million before he ever was Antonio Brown, who we knew, and then the Steelers twice, didn't they slide money to him when they didn't have to? They weren't obligated to. He needed it. He wanted it. They gave it to him.
And they gave him a check for that 16th game that he did not play.
Right.
With the playoffs on the line.
And how far was it after the Facebook Live? Now, this could be their problem. They shouldn't have done it, or they should have disciplined him.
It was after that.
It was right after that. He got the new $68 million deal.
That's when the second described these things as minor annoyances. Right. Well, that's what happens to minor annoyances if you don't.
They grow. Yeah, there's no question. But he fully took advantage of it and abused whatever they were giving him, which is bad on his part, too. Let's go to Marilyn and Munhall. Hey, Marilyn.
Hi, Bob and Jean. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I hear that Le'Veon Bell is being courted by 4 different teams. Which he'll end up with?
I think it's going to be the Jets, Gene.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm hearing, the Jets are really interested in this, and you know, the Jets really need a marquee player. They really need a playmaker. They have some money. You know, that makes perfect sense. It won't be anything to cheer around here, but whatever.
Yeah, but I think because they're dealing in the same market as the Giants, and the Giants are the better team, they get more coverage, they've been more successful.
Yes.
They need to do something,
right.
And this could be something. We'll see.
Could be.
We have this on Twitter from Craig, who says, will Matt Murray play tomorrow? Yes, I think he should, and I think he will play, if not all of the games, 99% of the games. Gene, you have a problem with that workload?
No, I was surprised, though, that he played both games on the weekend. I thought he was going to get one of those off. I thought he would play against Washington and Buffalo, too. But it looks like Mike Sullivan wants to, you know, really ride him down the stretch.
He does, and that's back-to-back weekend games. He's done 2 weekends in a row now.
8 in a row. This is the longest of the season.
Yeah, and this one coming up, they have a game Saturday afternoon and then Sunday night, so there's more time in between. I suspect he'll play both games, too. They need points, and as long as they need points, I think you got to go with your number one. We'll take a break. 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. Get in on the conversation. Join us right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's the Borders and Borders Hotline. We return right after this.